How you doing, guys? It's Doug Wilson from Yellowhawk Custom Outdoors. I got two pieces of gear I want to show you guys on this video. I'm going to talk about them, work with one of them a little bit. When I purchase gear for the bush, if at all possible, I try to get more than one use out of that piece of gear. As many uses as you can think of for that piece of gear, so that you're not carrying a whole lot of stuff, and what you are carrying does everything you need to do. So for this piece of gear here, I'm using it as a seat cushion. This is a Wandering Parsons Anorak. You can see it. Wandering Parsons Anorak. Now it's still a little bit warm today, so I'm not going to put it on. I've been wearing it. For the price, which is like, I don't know, 60 bucks for this thing. Unbelievable low price for such a good quality piece of gear. I'm pretty damn impressed with it. I have not worn it in cold climates yet, but I have no doubt that this Polartec is going to do well. Some guys don't like synthetic fibers like Polartec and, you know, nylon and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with it. I like to use what works and works well. A lot of guys like wool anoraks. Wool is a great outdoor insulation, but it's too heavy, in my opinion. I do a lot of walking sometimes with a backpack on. I don't want to carry 1 ounce more than I have to. I've done a through hike of the Appalachian Trail, and I'm telling you, when you start a through hike, within 2 weeks, you got your weight down to almost nothing because you just don't want to carry it. It takes it out of you. Every ounce that you have to carry takes it out of you. So by the end of 2 weeks of a through hike, you done got rid of 20 pieces of gear that you thought you would use. And the way I do it is, if I haven't used it for 2 days straight, unless it's something that's critical, in a critical situation like a med kit or something, I ditch it. I get rid of it. So within 2 weeks, you're down to, like, I don't know, 25-pound base weight. That's without food and water. So this piece of kit is pretty light. It's Polartec. It's a nylon spun plastic fabric that has great thermal retention. It does great in the weather, you know, rain, whatever. Polartec nylon only absorbs about 1% of its weight in water. Wool, a hell of a lot more. Gets really heavy when it's wet. So I tend to go with the things that work, that are lighter weight but still tough. You can leave your comments about wool in the comments section. Doesn't bother me. If you love wool, it's great. I love wool too. I just don't like to use it when I'm walking longer distances. That's all. I don't want to carry the weight. It's heavy, and when it gets wet, it gets real heavy. So this stuff dries real quick. It's just, there's a whole plethora of pros to something like this, and that's just my opinion. So what I'm going to do with this is, you know, it's got a kangaroo pocket in the front, and it's flow through. It goes through, you know, kangaroo pocket in the front. It comes down past your ass, which I love. Cold weather garments, especially insulation layers and jackets, I like them to cover my ass. If it comes to just your waist, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get cold, generally. Just telling you this from experience. In the winter around here, it can frequently get into the single digits and below. And we found that out during the Sub-Zero Yellowhawk Custom Outdoors rendezvous last winter in February. It was almost minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit out there. Now that's a little abnormal, but it does happen around here. That's cold, brothers. I don't know if you know it, but that's pretty cold. So you got to have really warm gear if you're gonna go out into the bush in the winter. That includes a sleeping bag that's very warm. Whatever the fill is, whatever type, whatever model, that's on you. But I prefer down as an insulation in the winter. But with down, you cannot get it wet. So it's got to have some type of Gore-Tex cover over it. Or, if it's a jacket, you got to have a Gore-Tex shell over it to keep that water off of that insulation. Because when down gets wet, it is worthless. So you got to keep it dry. I have ways that I can do that. I've been doing this a long time, and I got it down to like a science out there with keeping things dry and sleeping and cooking and but everybody has their own ways of doing things. I realize that. So I'm going to be wearing this thing in the winter, and I'll give you an update on how it performs. I have no doubt. I love it already, so I think it's going to work well. Okay, there's that. That's the Wandering Parsons Anorak. I'm not real good at like links and stuff like that, so maybe my editing guy John Mistro can put the link there somewhere to the Wandering Parson. Okay, so anyway, next thing. Let me get these guys out of the way. This knife just amazes me, and it's extremely budget friendly as well. Now this is, I put this sheath on it. I haven't had time to build a Kydex sheath for it. This is I believe this is an LT Wright sheath for one of his bushcrafters. Fits perfect in here, and it's nice and snug. This thing ain't coming out of here. So I'm okay with leather as long as it holds the knife well. This is the Varusteleka YHCO Puuko. YHCO Puuko. It's made in Finland. It's one of the origins of the Puuko knife. High carbon steel, 5/32 inch thick. It's not too thick, not too thin. Still has an awesome edge on it, and you'll see that. I'm going to feather stick with it, and I'll show you. I'm impressed. I really am. And for the price of 29 bucks, really impressed. It's got a craton handle, hard rubber, and I like to check things. So I actually cut a sliver of it off on the back. This is my knife, so I didn't have a problem doing it. They sent me 2 more to put Kydex sheaths on. So it's thick and it's solid. I think it's going to do well in the backcountry. I really do. Full tang, goes all the way to the end with a lanyard hole. This thing's pretty thick. Crush nuts, bop heads, crack ice, whatever. It's got a 23-degree traditional Scandi grind. Now they say it has a slight secondary edge bevel. That is the most common Scandinavian grind on the market. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to find out. Generally, I thought Scandi grinds went all the way to the end with no secondary edge bevel, and that was the most common traditional Scandi grind. This one has a slight, very slight secondary edge bevel, which makes that edge less chippy. That's one of my cons for Scandi edges, is they come down all the way into a very thin point, and sometimes they roll, sometimes they chip. Depends on the steel, depends on how you use it. If you use it moderately, it's probably not going to do that, but I use my knives pretty hard, so I like at least a small secondary edge bevel. So the reason why they put that on there is to make that edge stronger. So I think it like gives you the best of both worlds. The reason I like this company is because their motto is strong and simple, but effective. Strong, simple, but effective. And anybody that watches the channel knows I just want what works and works well. Not a whole lot of money, nice palm swell. I'll show you how it feather sticks. It's just like any other Scandi grind. It's very efficient. You know, you'll be able to see this, I think. I'm not the best at feather sticking. I'm really not. But a good Scandi grind makes it easy. Alright, you see those wispy little feathers? And I tell you, it can chunk out bigger ones too. I mean, no problem. You know, from wispy little feathers to honking big ones that you can feed a fire with. What I like to do is get a lot of small thin ones, cut them off the bone, strike them with a ferro rod, and then feed it with some bigger, thicker feathers like these. You know, bigger, thicker feathers. That's one way I like to use to start a fire. You start it with the little teeny wispy ones off the bone. I just like them off the bone, you know. It's just easier to work that way for me. So, nice, you know, wispy feathers, bigger feathers, good. I mean, I tell you, it's as effective a Scandi grind as I've used yet. And the knife is beefier than a Mora, generally. Beefier than a Mora. So you're going to be able to do some harder tasks with this. And it's full tang, goes all the way through. It's a thick tang in here. Not super thick. I'm sure it's 3/4 thick. It's not completely, it may be, I don't know, but it's a strong tang. I can feel the knife. And that handle is textured rubber, super grippy. It's got a nice chisel point that comes down into an effective point. And I can actually see, no shit, hammer marks in this steel. Now I don't know if it's hammered out and forged, but I can see hammer marks on it, so it might be something you want to check out. This may be a hand forged blade. I would doubt it. Not for 29 bucks. Not for 29 bucks. 5/32, you know, usually they're 1/8 inch or 1/16 inch. These are a little more stout, but still great cutters. Very efficient. I love it. I love this knife, man. I think it's great. I'm going to do some more feathers with it. I think it's a great little knife, and it's not going to break the bank. You know, if you're not looking for a custom knife, you might want to check out Varusteleka. See, I'm not the best feather sticker. I'm not real good at it. So, let's see if I can get some on this side. I have to take my time. I can't, you know, there's guys that, you know, like, woom, 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 and it's done. That's not me. That's definitely not me. Not with feather sticks. But it is a very efficient way to start a fire. There's also 1,000 other ways to do it. So, nice knife. I'm going to be working with this one. I'm going to make a Kydex sheath for a couple of them. And This is just a tabletop, what I think of it review after working with it for a day or so. I don't know, it's just something about this knife that I really like. It's simple and effective. It's budget friendly and very comfortable. Very comfortable. That rubber, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of rubber handles, but I tell you, I'm warming up to them. Again, they also have different sizes. This is the 110. They got a 140. They got all different types of bushcraft blades on Varusteleka. It's V-E-R-U-S-T-E-L-A-K-A. Varusteleka. Varusteleka.com. www.varusteleka.com. And it's a Finnish gear company, and apparently they're pretty famous over there. They're pretty popular over in Finland, and they're breaking into the American market. Hell of a knife. They got other ones like this with rubber handles, bigger, smaller, fatter, thinner. All right, guys, so that's it for now. This is Doug Wilson, Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.